All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight, for our Teen Workplace Initiative, we have on our panel Markeece and Nate, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves in just a minute, but we're talking about young entrepreneurship and hospitality. And so these are two great young figures in our community that are doing it all. So I'm just going to pass it over. Let's say first to Markeece, you can introduce yourself, and then to Nate, so that everybody gets a good idea of who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Markeece. I'm currently 20 years old. I'm about to be 21 in like a month. Uh, I've been working at Culvers since I was 14, so almost 7 years I've been there. And I started my brand clothing line when I was 18, fresh out of high school, like a month or two after I graduated. And yeah, that's what I'm doing these days.
And I'm Nate. I'm currently 19. I started working in the restaurant industry when I was 13 years old as a host. Um, and I just love serving and helping people, so that's what got me into the industry to start out.
That's so funny that you guys were both so young when you started working. I think I was 40 and a half, 15 when I got my first job. So
You
I
said
think
when you
once
got
you
your
start
first
getting a
job,
taste,
you
yeah,
were 50?
14, 14,
Oh, I'm like,
15.
wait.
I still got like a few more years to go before I'm 50. So hopefully, I'd like to think the camera adds 10 pounds in 20 years.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, well, I guess I don't know if everybody knows me since I'm still fairly new at Iowa City Public Library. So I'm the teen services librarian at the Iowa City Public Library. And so we're putting on these workplace panels just so that young people can get an idea of what people in the community do. Maybe they don't know anybody in their family that have been a server or a bartender or run their own business or have managed an establishment before. So really just to introduce people, young people, to people in our community that are doing it themselves, just to kind of get an idea of what that's like. So we kind of touched on the fact that Markeece, you run your own business and you also manage Culvers, and you're in school and you're also still bartending and serving?
Yes, so I am a senior at Linn-Mar High School here in Marion, but I also bartend and serve as well. So
Okay, so then maybe both of you can talk, maybe Nate, just since you answered last, but just talk a little bit about how you balance that. What does that look like? How do you manage to get all your studies done and then also go to work? And then Markeece, obviously owning a business and then going and working for a business as a manager, like both of you are juggling lots of things and you've got, only a certain amount of time. So if you both want to just talk about that, like how do you get that balance in your life?
yeah, I would say I'm very blessed this year to only have 3 classes right now, so it's super easy for me to manage my schedule. But for students who don't have a lot of free time in their day to get like homework done and they have to do it at home, um, I would say try to take advantage of as much like time during school if you also have a job to get all your work done and get studying done with friends. Um, but the way I balanced it when I had a full schedule was I would go to work around 4 or 4:30 at my job, and then I would stay until around 8 o'clock or 9:30. And then right when I got home, it's not the most healthy thing to do, but I would just do all my homework if I had any that night that I didn't finish during the day. Also take advantage of like morning study times in school, when like ask teachers if you can come in and meet with them and do stuff, or just like sit in their classrooms, because that's really, for me and I know a lot of other kids, essential to like keeping a healthy mental state and just like keeping up in school and not just falling behind completely.
For me, so I cut down my hours at my current job to focus more on my business because this year I want to like really like scale my business up this year. So I've been basically planning out like a schedule, like make a time for what I'm gonna do for this day. I'm gonna order clothes this day. I'm gonna take pictures this day. I'm gonna work at Culvers this day and stuff like that. So mainly that's what I do. But before I can do that, I was basically coming home, staying up all night, like trying to get stuff together, and then barely get like 2 to 3 hours of sleep up
Yeah.
until now, where I'm making a schedule, setting time for what I got to do, basically.
Mhm. Are you at a point right now where you're still doing most all of the work, or do you have other people that you have employed in your clothing business to help
Only people that I
offset?
have employed is my models. So I have like models, and we shoot every week, but
Mhm.
I still the one taking the pictures. So
Right.
I invested in the camera. I bought a camera, so I take all the pictures. I have a warehouse, so I have like a little studio up in there where I take all our pictures and stuff.
Oh, wow. Did you have to learn on the fly how to take pictures, or were you just kind of like a natural photographer?
I'm natural with it, I guess.
Yeah. You're like, I just have so many talents. I just don't even know where to
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
Cool. All right. So Nate, would you say you're going to be a server slash bartender kind of if you're planning on going to college? Are you staying with this all the way through, or would you say it's something temporary until you get another job, or will it supplement your income, or what are you thinking right now?
So I most definitely intend to stay bartending and serving, whether at my current restaurant or at another, um, kind of my entire life, and just like moving up through the ranks, and like to eventually get to the point where I can own and manage and be a managing partner in restaurants, because I just love helping people and just making people happy and providing service to them.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best that we can provide.
Right. And you're good at it. I've seen you. um, Markeece, I wanted to ask you, when I was little, I wanted to be like a roller skating vet. When did
Mhm,
you realize that, you wanted to be an entrepreneur and you wanted to
mhm,
be your own boss?
mhm. I think it was back in 7th grade. I think we were having like a discussion in class about like basically what do we want to be when we grow up. And at the time, like I had a problem with authority. I don't like being told what to do. So I always said like I'm gonna be my own boss. Like, I'm not about to work for nobody because I don't like being told no. I don't like people telling me what I can and can't do. So I always thought like I could do something that I'm passionate about, and I always been passionate about dressing. I always had the latest shoes out, clothes, stuff like that. So I was like, when I graduated, I'm starting a clothing business, and then when I graduated, I did exactly what I said I was gonna do.
Good for you, man. Do you think since you are your own boss, is it harder to work, at a place where you still have to kind of fit in with the culture there?
Yeah, not really, because I became a manager when I was 16, and
Mhm.
I was the youngest manager on the team. So I always been more advanced. So I never really, like now in my current job, we have a general manager, but like we all basically tell ourselves what to do, and basically,
Right.
so I never really have to deal with stuff like that on that end.
Uh-huh. You're just a well-oiled machine at Culvers.
Yeah,
You guys just know what you're supposed to be doing. So
yeah.
yeah, that's great. Um, let's see. Nate, you said that you love making people happy, but what else would you say? Like, what do you love most about serving and bartending?
I love the conversation that comes along with it, and the people, because like in a pre-pandemic era, I would be like sitting up at the table with the guests and like talking them through the menu and stuff, like telling them what things can go with what drinks can go well with what food. So I really love the conversation and kind of the friendships that get formed through working in restaurants and in general hospitality as well. It's not just like bartending and serving. Like I have regulars that from my very first job back when I was 13 that come and visit me now at my bar just because we get along so
Mm-hmm.
well. So that's that's been really fun, and that's what kind of.
Wait, I got a quick question. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
You can work in a bar at that young?
Yeah, so the age for Iowa is 18 to bartend. Um
Mm.
cuz so like minors can touch alcohol that's been unopened in the bottle, but like in order to serve it and make it, you have to be 18 in Iowa.
Oh,
And
okay,
the drink is
okay,
21, obviously.
So
okay.
you can make somebody a cocktail right now, Nate. You just can't drink it yourself.
Right, exactly. Like I
Right.
can't have a full one, but I can most definitely sample something I've made with just like a little straw poke, or
Right.
get the flavor, or I can smell it as well if it's like wine or beer at all.
Yeah. cool. What about you, Markeece? Besides, being your own boss, setting your own goals, do you feel like having your own company forces you to kind of be limitless? Like, are you always thinking about, what do I want to do next? Like, you just feel like you don't have anybody else kind of breathing down your shoulder. So do you feel like it's making you more open as an individual or more creative than maybe you would be if you were, working within the company and that's all you were doing?
Yes. So when I originally started out, I used to like buy clothes from like vendors. So ever since the pandemic, I've been actually making my own clothes, like having manufacturers that's not in the United States, period. So I have my own clothing manufactured with my name on it, my brand on it. So before then, I was really just buying clothes from vendors and just selling basically what they make. Now I actually personally make my stuff. So that's basically, got more creative with it and stuff.
So you kind of like, you control the whole supply, like you order the clothes, you design the clothes, and then you sell.
So as far as like making the clothes, I have to make the fabric has to get made. I have to pay for all of that, the labeling, design to go on the clothes, all of that. So everything on the t-shirts and all that is all mine. I own everything of it.
Wow. So do you send it away to get printed, or you don't like?
So it comes from. So right now my stuff is manufactured in Pakistan. So it comes from them. So they print. Sew all of that over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you come up with the designs too, you send it over there and then they print the designs?
I have a graphic designer. So I tell her what I want and what I want it to look like, and she like do whatever, and then I send it off to them.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. We'll share your website and things towards the end so everyone knows where to find your stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
You talked a little bit about it, and maybe you both can speak to this, but would you say that there were any classes specifically that might help you get prepared for this kind of work? College classes or classes that somebody could take in high school to help get them into this kind of field? Yeah.
So when I was in high school, my senior year, I took 3 business classes. I think it was accounting, business 101. Now it was one more other one I took. But those really helped me, like as far as like managing money and stuff like that. And like that's a big thing, like running a business. You have to learn how to manage it and making sure you're not paying more out than you making and stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely advise you to take classes within like what you're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I'm actually in a class right now. It's called mock internship. It's where you work and you get school credit for working in the job force, and you basically learn the finer aspects of whatever you are specifically training for. So like right now with my internship, I'm training for bartending, and I'm not just learning like how to mix drinks. I'm learning the origins behind liquor and wine and like where it comes from. But also like if you're not in high school like I am, you can go to Kirkwood and they have plenty of business management classes and culinary classes that also teach you about liquor and hospitality classes. Like Kirkwood has an amazing hospitality program that you can take classes from. So there's a lot of options here within our community in Cedar Rapids and Iowa City.
Yeah, I've known some people that have gone through that culinary arts program at Kirkwood and the hotel, and it's amazing. They do some really cool stuff. Let's see here. Okay, so I guess not everything is like roses and rainbows. So if both of you were going to point out some things that maybe you didn't anticipate about the fields that you're both in, and like maybe people who are thinking about going into this field but really want to know what it's about, what would you say are some of the challenges of both of your areas of work?
I'll let you go first, Nick.
Okay. I would say like general things are you have to kind of build up a skin, because
I would totally agree with that.
Test to this because we've worked together, but people can say very mean things and not realize it, and it will weigh on you for the rest of the day or night or week. So you kind of have to, and it's not just like guests, it's also like you can have a manager that comes up to you and is like, hey, I noticed you did whatever, and then that can weigh on you for the rest of the night, and that can affect the rest of your tables or the rest of the people you interact with. So kind of like having a skin built up so you can let it roll off of your back. But also being able to take criticism is a big one, because if you ultimately can't take the criticism and direction in the serving and bartending industry, not to be pessimistic, but you won't go very far, because that's how you learn and that's how you get better, is from other people telling you you're doing this wrong or you're doing this great.
What I would say as far as being in the clothing business, you gotta be different, because it's so many competitors out here. It's like you competing with different people every day and you're not even knowing it, but you definitely are. Because like, for instance, like as far as like t-shirts and all of that, it's so many big brands out here with these t-shirts that's probably not even, it's not as good as how I think it is, but their brand is already established. So it's like those t-shirts are gonna sell regardless. That name is already established. So you just gotta be different, because it's a lot of competitors.
Yeah, standing out for sure. I mean, it's the same with, you know, the Olive Garden or Applebee's. The car park's always going to be full, but if you want to stand out as an independent business, you have to do things differently. Like some of it is going to be the same back end work of balancing the books and things like that. But, you know, what's your food look like? What does your service look like? Are are people just saying the script because they've been told, or, you know, all of those things are going to impact how your business goes.
Exactly. And just to add on to my earlier points, like originality really comes into the hospitality industry, because like Victoria, you just said, you can go to Applebee's and you can go to like Chipotle and Perkins, and like those servers, mind you, there are some amazing servers there, but they're being told to read off of a script. They're like, put like a flair on it, or add your own style into how you speak. Like even the tone of your voice can affect everything, from the service to their opinions of the restaurant. So
yeah, and at the same time, like Markeece said, I mean, you can have an excellent product and be a great business person, but there's still a lot of other companies that have you know, a big brand, or they're in the big box stores and people just go there because they used to go in there. And so it's definitely, you know, it's a different model. So it's like you have to work harder to kind of get attention.
yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I firmly believe that all of the local places that I've worked in, once you have a community and once they know who you are and they love who you are, they are loyal. Like, do you guys feel the same way? Like you have people who know who you are and they'll buy your stuff because they love you.
And that's another thing, you have to build up trust, because if it's like that first impression is everything. So people, they're gonna always remember you for the negative thing, not the positive.
Yeah.
So you definitely gotta.
No, yeah, definitely. All of the like the big restaurant owners here in Cedar Rapids, like Cobble Hill and Shorts and Goldfinch, like they all speak and they're all good friends. So they know everything that goes on in each other's restaurants. So that can really, like, you kind of, whenever you leave a job, you don't want to just like torch it and give the middle finger, because they'll all talk and then you're out, like you can't get a job in the restaurant industry here in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel the same way? Markeece, do you feel like you've established networks with local, whether it be artists or clothing producers or whatever it is? Do you feel like you have a network of small businesses that you guys support each other?
Yeah, my cousin, she actually owns a clothing store as well here in Iowa City. It's a women's boutique. So her mainly, but yeah, sometimes, not really. But I'm not really far in yet. I'm basically at the beginning stage still. So
I was gonna say there's probably not a lot of 20-year-olds in town that just have their own clothing store.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really impressive.
Yes.
So Nate, you talked a little bit about this earlier, but you know, when we're talking about, you know, you could have like 99 good reviews, but that one review is gonna like blow a torch and blow up in your face. What I was gonna say was, what was I gonna say? what kind of person do you think, besides being thick-skinned, do you think would thrive in owning their own business, being a manager at a store, or, you know, being a good bartender slash server?
I will say this before I answer your question. The serving and hospitality industry is addictive. So, with that being said, somebody who's an empath or like can interpret other people's emotions and moods, or the soft skills that everybody always talks about in on like LinkedIn and stuff, like, oh, whenever you take a business class, they're going to talk about you have your hard skills and your soft skills. Like the restaurant industry and the hospitality industry builds those soft skills. I believe it was Anthony Bourdain once said, he's a famous chef, but he once said there's an empathy in between those who have worked in the restaurant industry and have stood between the mouth of a $28 pork dish and serving it to them, because it builds those soft skills. It builds, like, if you bring a drink to a table and the guest like winces even slightly, like you can tell something's up or like something's wrong or they like it. Like it's the small things that you learn to interpret. So if you already have those skills built up and like you're good at detecting people's emotions and how they're receiving everything, that will really help you in the restaurant industry. But also anyone can do it. It just, you have to be organized and not get scatterbrained easily are the two big things, I would say.
What I would say is you got to be determined. You got to be like ready to work, willing to work, and put in the work, because a lot of people be wanting the reward but don't want to put in out a lick of work. Like they want to always get the reward but don't want to do nothing. So you definitely have to be ready to work, hard working. You're gonna have some days where you feel down, where you don't want to do it, but you got to keep going because you're gonna see the outcome on the end.
So then, besides money, how would both of you measure success in your fields?
My success is doing something that nobody in my family has never done. Like nobody in my family has ever owned a business, never went to college, as far as I know. So
yeah,
that's what I would say.
I would say success in the restaurant industry, at least how I define success, for me personally, others will say differently if you ask them, but I would say if all of my tables leave happy that night, or all of my bar guests leave happy and they have something good to say, at least one thing, that's a success. If they leave happy, I've done my job. I have provided good service, excellent food, good drinks to everybody. That's a success. Others will say in the restaurant industry, it's all about how much money you make. Like, oh, I made $250 that night. Well, I personally, like, there have been slow nights where I've had 3 tables, but every single one of those tables have had an amazing experience, and they keep coming back because of that one night.
I would like the budget. See, that's what I don't like neither. People be like, they focus on the money, but you gotta, this is how I think of it. Money is the motive, not the motivation.
Exactly.
Like when I think of that, like motivation, like what motivates me is like my family struggling, stuff like that. Like it's not my motivation, it's the money. Money is gonna be the motive, of course, but it's not the motivation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think people can see right through that too. And I think it's difficult to be yourself and have a business and not be authentic. Like people can see right through you if they know that you're not being your true self. And to be authentic and to live your passion, if you have those two things, then you can sell whatever you want to sell. But if you're just like slinging for money, then people see right through that. And it's so competitive out there that you'd have a hard time. But if you're passionate about something and you're committed and to the work, people see that. And I think they do reward that. And I think just to talk about Nate, when you talked about, you know, success in the hospitality business, it's employers talk about these soft skills and, you know, being intuitive. I think that's a really important skill. Like knowing what people want before they even know what they want themselves is huge. but developing authentic relationships, I think, is a skill that is, I mean, anywhere you go, people either they like you instantly or they don't. They get a feel for like who you are, and in, you know, a matter of seconds, they can feel, you know, what you're putting down. And so, yeah, I think it's so important in especially now, you know, in the pandemic when everybody's struggling even more. I mean, I guess maybe you guys can talk a little bit about, you know, how the shutdown and how that kind of thing has shifted the way that you guys work. Is everything, I mean, you've still had to go to work, you've been working in the pandemic, have people been coming in, have people been buying your stuff?
So when the pandemic first happened, like the entire pandemic, we never closed at Culvers. We stayed open the whole time. We didn't lose hours. What managers didn't. We had 40 hours a week in the entire pandemic.
Oh,
But
wow.
as far as my business, at first my sales like skyrocketed because everybody was online shopping, and then like towards the middle, it started to, you know, go down a little bit. But you know, I'm gonna keep going regardless. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the pandemic affected the restaurant industry and the industry in general. Like it changed how people serve and like the way people serve, because now we have to work with masks, and we have to be very careful about where we put stuff and like how we handle food. Especially like we were careful before, but also now it's to the umpteenth degree, because of we can't be the restaurant that had a giant outbreak. We can't be the business that is known for having people come out with COVID-19 like that. So, as far as like business coming in and like hours over the summer, we were still like busy as normal because we have a large patio that people were sitting at. And like it was basically after the restaurant shut down for like a month and a half, when we reopened, like we got our patio up and running, and then it was busy. Like no servers lost money until like winter kind of hit, because then people could only be inside. And as everybody knows, like it still spreads outside, but not as easily because open air and air circulates. But inside, people were very afraid to come in, and which I don't blame them for at all. Like they need to be safe, but restaurants all over the country definitely took a hit because of it. Like here in Cedar Rapids, some like restaurants that I can think of are Populi, like they closed
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and White Star also, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know about them.
I believe White Star closed as well because of the pandemic. There's a bunch of restaurants around here closing, and like
Right.
none of them will never be seen again. So
I know. And I don't even think we've seen all of it. You know, we're not going to know until we get out of it. And
yeah,
like you said, as long as it's cold, people aren't going in as much. But now hopefully, like we're seeing signs of melting outside, and patios and heaters might be coming back out, and more people will be going out as they get vaccinated as well. So,
exactly.
you know, hopefully the worst, touch wood, is over with restaurants not seeing people. But okay, I want to shift a little bit. I know, Markeece, before you said that, you know, nobody else in your family has kind of chosen the path that you've gone down. Nate, maybe I feel like some of your family members have been in hospitality, but I wanted to ask both of you, not necessarily related to the field that you're in, but just for young people who maybe don't have family members going down this route, or they're just kind of cracking the mold open. How important do you think mentorship is? And have you had people in your life that have really helped you kind of figure out who you were and bust through some things that you needed to bust through in order to get to where you are?
Me personally, I think mentorship is good. I never really had like a mentorship as far as like for my business, but like growing up, like in 11th grade, I don't know if you know Frederick Newell.
Yeah, I do.
He is the owner of the Dream Center or whatever, and I was in a boys group. So I've been knowing Fred for about over 10 years now. So he's been my mentor for all this time. So that's
awesome.
really.
I just had a meeting with him the other day, but he didn't have his camera on because his baby was being a baby.
Yeah, he just had a newborn baby.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would say I have had a lot of mentors. one of the most two of the most prominent being my older sibling, Charlie. They have helped me understand so much about the restaurant industry and making everything perfect for people when they come in and making drinks and stuff. They have helped me so much. But also the very first general manager who I ever worked with, um Rachel Sutcliffe, she literally took me under her wing and trained me on every single job I ever had at my very first job. She
Mhm.
saw something in me that I would have never applied at a restaurant out of the blue.
Mhm.
Like, but she saw something in me. She gave me a job on the spot one night while I was in the restaurant, and she said, "I'm going to hire you. When can you start?" Because she saw something in me, and I am still to this day indebted to her, because had my first restaurant not closed, I would probably be still working there, and I would most likely be managing it right now,
Mhm.
because she started training me on how to manage there.
Mhm.
So I'm really indebted to her, because she was the flame that started everything for me. But yes, mentorship is very important in any job field,
Mhm.
especially the restaurant industry, which is hard to navigate by yourself.
Right, for sure. I mean, any industry that you're going into, if you don't know anybody highlighting or showing you the ropes, it's really hard to get into.
Exactly.
Um, so obviously you've got classes going, and then you work in the restaurant, and you're doing many things too, Markeece. You're taking photos, you're ordering, you're designing with a graphic designer, and you're at Culvers. Um, did both of you take time to take care of yourselves? What do you do to wind down? Is it hard to switch off from some of those daily things? And do you feel like you have, a clear, this is my off time and this is my on time, or is your brain always going?
For Culvers, yes, it's easy to turn off. But
Yeah.
when I come home, like my business, since I'm an online business, I'm always on the social media. Like I'm addicted to it now.
Yeah.
But so it's hard for me as far as my personal business. But Culvers, yes, I could turn it
Hmm.
off. Because as
Yeah.
soon as I leave out that door, I'm done for the day. So
Right. Yeah. That
Yeah.
is nice.
I would say for anyone who's ever worked in the industry, there's a toll that gets taken on you after every shift, like just a physical, like your your feet hurt, your back hurts from running around. Like, so the thing I do is I will just get into a hot bath, or like take a hot shower, or just lay on the couch afterwards and just relax and just like sit there and think about nothing, and just like letting everything from the day just disappear, kind of.
Hmm.
But then I'll also play like video games with my friends, or like play Minecraft with my friends and stuff, because I'm
Hmm.
weird and geeky like that. But yeah.
um, for sure. I think servers and bartenders are really good at just kind of having a little therapy circle at the end of a shift too, and just decompressing that way, so you vent and get everything out before you get home.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. Like, whenever, if you ever walk by a restaurant at night and it's closed, but there are a bunch of people sitting at the bar, like, those are the employees that are drinking and talking about everything that happened that night, or just stuff that's happening in their lives, for sure.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so what advice would you give to young people who are looking
hello.
to get into the, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear Nate.
Oh, you can't hear Nate? Nate, why don't you say something?
Can you hear me now, Marquis?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
All right,
perfect.
we're back on the trolley. So what advice would you give young people who were looking to get into your fields? We
Hmm.
can start with Nate.
So, I would say go to your favorite restaurant, like wherever it may be, whether it's Applebee's or a local restaurant. Go there and start just like chatting up the staff and talking to them and getting to know them, and like get to know the management team as well. And then one day just like fill out an application, and then see if they accept you, because they'll know your personality, they'll know how you act, they'll know if you're a good fit for the team already. It's not like you're just going into an interview blind and they don't know anything about you. Like, they know you and like what you do and your general entire persona. So I would say that, or if you have family members that work in restaurants or know people that own restaurants, like a friend of a friend is always a great recommendation. Like on your application, you can put, I know so and so, and then that
Mm-hmm.
employer will see, oh, he knows this person. Like, I'm gonna give him a call and offer him a job now, or I'm gonna call that person and talk to them before I have the interview. So it's always nice to know people and be able to network easily like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you don't have like the ability to do any of that, just like go in and fill out an application and talk to the manager or management team before you even give them the application, and just be like, hey, this is what's up.
Awesome.
What I would say is, as far as like being a business owner, is find your passion. Don't just do something because you see others doing it. Because some people do stuff because, oh, I see such and such doing it, let me just try to do it. Because you're not gonna really succeed in it because you're not really passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just doing it just to do it. So what I say is find something you like and go for it. And
Mhm.
like, don't let nobody tell you can't do it. Like, because when I first started my business, like my mom and nobody believed in what I could do. So I really didn't care. I didn't care what nobody thought. I just did my own thing. I don't let things get to me. I have
Mhm.
real thick skin. So
Do you purposefully not give your mom or anybody like your clothes for Christmas because you're like, no, you didn't believe in me, you're not getting one of my hoodies? Or are you over that
not
now?
really. I'm over it, honestly.
Yeah, that's
I don't
awesome.
dwell on things a lot. Like I don't
Yeah,
really, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's my life. So,
Right.
for sure.
and then another
Uh,
thing, like, because I originally went to Kirkwood for one semester, but I really went because my mom wanted me to go. And see, that's what I didn't finish because I really didn't care for her. I went because she
Right.
wanted me to go.
Mhm.
So I ended up dropping out first
Yeah.
semester. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody needs to find their own path. And for some, it
mhm.
might be a trade. For some, it might be college. For others, it might be being a manager and also having your own business, you know?
Yeah, and like everybody
I
can't be
mean,
a boss. Like if
right,
everybody a boss, who's gonna be the workers? You feel
right,
me? So just do something you're passionate about.
right.
Exactly.
I mean, all of those positions are important, but you
Cause
have
like
to make sure that you're the right fit.
I enjoy working at Culvers being a manager. Like
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess we'll finish just by saying, I mean, if there's anything else that you have in the works. Well, Nate, I feel like you used to be very heavily involved in theater. So if you have anything coming up, if you have any last words, and Markeece, if you could share, your website with people and how they could find you, I certainly know that everybody would be interested in finding that out too. So what do you got
okay,
going
so
on?
what?
Well, I just finished up a show right now at Giving Tree Theater last week, so I'm not currently in any like theater productions right now
Mhm.
because the pandemic, and we have to try to be as safe as possible. But I am heavily involved in the varsity show choir at Linmar 10th Street Edition. And since we can't compete this year, we are filming a music video it's a music video. It's a professional music video, and we're doing The Giver as our show,
Mhm.
the book The
Oh,
Giver.
cool.
So that'll be really fun.
Yeah.
You can keep a lookout for that on Linmar at Linmar Choirs on Twitter. It'll be announced there if any people watching this want to watch that. But also, like, just final piece of advice for the restaurant industry and like hospitality in general is to have fun and not take stuff seriously, because the real stick in the mud, as I'm sure everybody's experienced this, is when you go out to eat and there's just a server that's just completely monotone and they're just like, hi, what can I get for you tonight? Like, if you do work in the industry or you plan to, like, have fun, like joke
Yeah.
around, like
Yeah.
smile and just have a good time, because that ultimately is what will create repeat guests and keep them coming back, and leave 5-star reviews on Yelp or
Yeah.
Facebook or Google.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my
For
last
sure.
piece of
Yes, you can definitely tell servers just who are going through the rigmarole and servers who are there because they want to be there.
Exactly.
Right, for sure. Good words, Nate.
You can find me on Instagram for my business page is Finer Streetwear Co. _ and the website is www.finerstreetwearco.com. And that's you can find sweatshirts, t-shirts, pants, all of that.
That's so awesome. Well, that's amazing. That's a wrap. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking
No
time
problem.
to do
Thank
this.
you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I really appreciate it. So I think maybe we'll like turn you into a TikTok or something and put you on the library page. We'll just put your faces wherever I think
Yeah,
kids need to see it.
I don't care.
awesome.
You're like any press is good press, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes,
that's awesome.
Publicity is good for me.
For sure, for sure. I really appreciate both of you taking time out of your night tonight just to spend some time with us and share your work and share your passion and share how other people might be able to figure out how to get into it as well. So
no problem.
Of course, Victoria.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best with your company.
Thank you so much.
Nate, I wish you the best with everything in school and all the big tips, but mostly just having great conversations with people that like you love.
Yep.
All right. Well,
Thank
take care,
you.
guys. Thank you so much.